These pretty teens are best friends, and they're also something else. Something that may surprise you.
We're twins.
Believe it or not, they're twins.
Yep, we're twins. We're
twin
mum,
sisters.
same dad.
You heard right. They have the same mom and dad. What are the odds that one would be black and one white?
A lot of people are just in shock.
Lucy and Maria Aylmer live in Gloucester, England. Maria has a caramel complexion, brown eyes, and thick curly black hair. Lucy has pale white skin, ginger red hair, blue eyes, and freckles. Most people have the same reaction when they hear they are twins.
They say, how did it happen? We don't believe you.
So, how did it happen? Their mom, Donna, is half black and half white. The twins' dad, Vince, is white. The couple was thrilled when a sonogram revealed they were expecting twins.
I just cried. It was shock.
Mom did a double take when she delivered one black and one white baby.
I'm so glad Mum dressed us in such cute little outfits.
Mom dressed her adorable twin daughters in matching outfits, just like twins everywhere. But by age 10, Lucy says she didn't feel like a twin, so why dress like one?
We don't look alike, so why should we have to wear the exact same thing?
Maria says she once wished for Lucy's straight hair.
I used to cry about it. I hate my curly hair.
And Lucy says she was sometimes taunted at school.
They thought I was adopted. And calling me a ghost.
Now 18, the twins not only look different, they have very different personalities.
We're completely different.
Maria loves getting dressed up in chic clothing. She is very outgoing.
I love meeting people. Like, I'm not scared to approach people or anything, so.
Whereas I'm terrified of going up to random strangers.
Lucy prefers casual clothes, but they've come to embrace their uniqueness as black and white twins.
If I have kids one day, they might come out looking like Lucy.
Shalom, 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 Israel. This is Captain Paul Israel from Kingdom Builders of Israel, LLC. And today's class topic is going to be on confusion of faces, understanding. Again, Israel, today's class topic is going to be on the confusion of faces, understanding. Okay, Israel, today is a good class topic to discuss due to the fact that many of our people that are in the black-only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, they believe that the children of Israel in today's time are only one shade of color, which is, of course, black, of course, or a darker shade of brown, okay, in their eyes. But according to the Bible, you know, the children of Israel basically are different shades of brown, different variations of color, from pinkish color, reddish color, or whatever, because the children of Israel are scattered to the four corners of the earth. Okay, so we all gonna come in different shades. Okay, so there's no different variation or just one set color. Okay, and we're gonna get biblical proof of this. We're gonna let the Bible be true and every man a liar. Okay, and it's all because the children of Israel broke Yahweh's laws. So when you go into what we just watched the video before this lesson, we got an understanding that, you know, when Israel goes off and deals with the other nations, you know, it can create somewhat like a confusion as far as children is concerned, from an Israelite woman dealing with an Edomite man who is a so-called white man, or vice versa, when a so-called Israelite brother deal with a woman of another nation outside the children of Israel. It creates confusion, okay, from the children's perspective as far as if they're being of Israelite lineage or not, based upon their appearance. Because when we read the scriptures, of course, we know the children of Israel are so-called black people. Okay, but we have to have understanding on what the Bible says. Okay, what condition the children of Israel, by them being scattered through the four corners of the earth, what condition they're going to be in? Are they going to look the same like they once did once they got out of Egypt? Or their appearance basically are going to look different, okay, based upon different layers of different captivities situations that the children of Israel were under. Okay, so the video that we did see, we saw a so-called white man who's an Edomite who had a so-called black woman, which I'm not sure if she was of Israel, because it says she had a lineage going back to Jamaican descent, who basically she'll be from the tribe of Benjamin, but then the video says she also has European descent as well. So they didn't specify if her father was a so-called white man, or it didn't specify if her mother was a so-called black woman. They didn't specify which, or to determine if these children's mother was of Israel or not, based upon the seed of her father. So I'm not able to get that understanding right now, but this lesson is to show you that just because you're looking of the nation of Israel color-wise or hair-wise does not mean that you are the children of Israel. That's why I say the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine is creating confusion, because it spreads lies. So when we looked at this particular twin sister, who appears to be a black woman, but she's not. She's actually an Edomite, because her father is a so-called European man. Okay, but if you're looking on the outside, you'll say, oh, she's a black woman. But the Bible goes based upon the seed of the fathers, and we're going to prove that. Okay, and we're going to prove that these sisters, based upon the video, of course, they said, hey, of course, they have a white father and a black mother. But again, we don't know the lineage all the way through apparently on their mother. But we do know she has a lineage going back to Jamaica, of course. Okay. Let's go down. It says this article is from the Express article. It says, meet the two teenage girls with different color hair, eyes, and skin, but they're twins. So this is the confusion of faces right here. Okay. It says Lucy and Marie Elmar, both 18, look more like best friends than siblings thanks to their parents' mixed race pairing, which has led to the teenage girls having different skin tones. Lucy has straight ginger hair, a fair complexion, and crystal blue eyes, while Maria has brown curly hair, far darker skin, and sparkling brown eyes. Their mother is half Jamaican and their father is white, and together they produce one black and one white twin. So again, Israel, this is where the confusion of faces goes in at. Okay, you could clearly see the one on the left is of course an Edomite, but the one on the right, you'll say, oh, that's a so-called black woman from Israel, she's an Israelite. But of course not, because it just stated her father was a so-called white man, which they brought out in the video. So now let's go to the Bible. According to the Bible, you are who your father is. Okay, this is what the black only Hebrew doctrine don't go after reading. They just go off of skin complexion, which the Bible never goes by that. It goes based upon the seed of your fathers. Okay, because your father carries the seed, carries the sperm, carries the life. Okay, Numbers chapter 1 verse 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So the children of Israel, who was the congregation when we read the book of Numbers, okay, they declared their pedigree or their family lineage by the house of their fathers. They didn't say mothers, because the mother is just used to birth the child, of course. But the seed is where life comes from, of course, from the man. Okay. So again, whatever that man is, that's what the child's lineage is going to fall through. Okay. Contrary to society saying 50-50, of course, but the Bible doesn't say that. Okay. It's like if you plant an apple seed in the ground, it's going to grow up to be an apple tree. It's not going to grow up to be anything else. Okay. Just basic common sense. Let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 1. It says, so all Israel were reckoned by genealogies. And behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, who were carried away to Babylon for their transgression. So again, Israel, of course, was always sent to another nation to be ruled over because of the transgression of the children of Israel breaking Yahweh's laws. But again, the reason why I brought this out, it says, so all Israel were reckoned by genealogies based upon what we just brought out, the seed of the fathers. Okay? Which we just pulled in Numbers chapter 1, verse 18. That's how you reckon to be an Israelite, based upon your genealogy, not based upon, how the Christian faith is teaching. Christian faith says all you got to do now is just believe in Jesus, or believe in love and happiness, and you can be accepted and all this other stuff. No, the Most High says, according to this Bible, you are reckoned by your genealogy. So your genealogy has to go back to the seed of your fathers, and it has to go back to being an Israelite. Okay. That's proved also when we go to the book of First Chronicles chapter 1 that the lineage of a particular person is dependent on the father, not the mother. This is why you don't see no women mentioned when we get to the lineage of Adam. Of course, even though, yes, it took a woman to birth a child, of course, but when it comes to lineage, genealogy, it goes from the man. Okay. This is First Chronicles chapter 1. First Chronicles chapter 1, verse 1. It says, Adam, Sheth, Enosh, Kenan, Michalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. You notice something. It didn't mention no women right here. And then if you go, the sons of Japheth, Gomar, and Magog, and Madai, and Haven, and Tabal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. So no mention of women right here. All men lineage, which led to Noah, from Adam to Noah. Okay. Now we go to the New Testament. It's not going to be no change. In the lineage, understanding, it comes from the men. Okay. Your genealogy comes from the men. Okay, Israel. It says, Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. It says, the book of the generation of Yahshua HaMashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Okay. Matthew chapter 1, verse 2. Abraham begat Isaac. So Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas and his brother. It's going to keep going. You're going to see nothing but men mentioned. You're not going to see women mentioned. Matthew chapter 1, verse 3. And Judas begat Phares and Zara of Tamar, and Phares begat Ezram, and Ezram begat Aram. See where we're going with this? Matthew chapter 1, verse 4. And Abram begat Amminadab, and Amminadab begat Nason, and Nason begat Salem. And it's keep going through the male lineage. Matthew chapter 1, verse 5. And Salem begat Boaz of Rechab, and Boaz begat Abed of Ruth, and Abed begat Jesse. You see this, Israel? You didn't see no mention of women. Society is putting women first, but according to the Bible, the men have an important role in genealogy and making the next generations that come about. Okay, but women do play a role, but I'm giving the understanding that lineage goes off the basis of what? Goes off the basis of the men. Okay, now that we got the understanding that it did not change from the Old Testament understanding, and then we go to the New Testament, it still has not changed on the lineage being pertaining to the genealogy of the father's lineage. Okay, that's why I brought that out. So when we get into the other topics or the visuals that I'm going to show, then you can have an understanding. And we're going to prove also the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine is fabricated to portray a notion that don't match up biblically. Okay, it's worldly understanding come from men that's following doctrines that doesn't have no purpose. Okay, it only causes confusion. So now we're going to go to Wikipedia. And now there's a tennis player named Naomi Osaka. Okay. Naomi Osaka. Okay. And she is an Israelite woman But if you look at her appearance, she'll look what you'll call Japanese. Okay. But just looking at her visually, you say, oh, she's a Japanese woman. She's not an Israelite. But her father is a so-called man from Haiti. So he'll be from what? The tribe of Levi. He'll be an Israelite man. This Israelite man ended up getting involved with a Japanese woman. So that's why her appearance, Naomi appearance, looks different. But she's an Israelite because the seed of her father is from Haiti. Okay. See, it says Naomi Osaka. It says born. This is on Wikipedia, by the way. It says she was born in Japan to a Haitian father and a Japanese mother. So it says Osaka has lived and trained in the United States since the age of 3. It says she came to the prominence at the age of 16 when she defeated former U.S. Open champion Samantha Stosur in her WTA Tour debut at the 2014 Stanford Classic. Okay, I don't have to read no more of that. But she is a tennis player. And it just mentioned that her mother was Japanese and her father was a Haitian brother. So her father is an Israelite. Okay. So if you listen to the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, according to them, because she looks Asian, right? She will not be an Israelite. That's according to the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine. But according to Yahweh, you are who your father is. So when you look at the so-called Native Americans, yes, some have an appearance of being Asian. And we already brought that understanding out in the other video called The Native Americans Are the Israelites. We got the understanding on different captivities. Our people look has changed. The northern kingdom of Israel, which consists of the natives and also the so-called Hispanics, yes, their appearance have changed based upon different captivities, right, that they was under, and also the things that they were doing by mingling and mixing amongst each other as far as dealing with the other nations. Okay, when the children of Israel was not supposed to deal sexually with the other nations because they were not considered holy people. The children of Israel are the only ones considered holy people. But when you mingle your seed, Israel, when the men of Israel mingle their seed amongst other nations, and vice versa, when the women go lay down with the other nation, it creates confusion. Okay, so it changes the appearance of Israel. Okay, in general, because of course in general their appearance is supposed to be black people in general, but of course through different captivities the appearance changes, and that's what the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine is not expounding on. Okay, this is why I'm doing this lesson. So let's go see. It says Tamaki Osaka is the mother of Naomi Osaka. Okay, that's her name. She's Japanese. Okay. Now we got to understand that. Let's go down. As you can see, this is another website, but this is a picture of her father, Naomi Osaka's father. His name is Leonard Francois. Okay, Haitian brother. And this is his daughter, Naomi Osaka. But of course, the black only Hebrew Israel doctrine is just off. Okay. See, it says nationality. His nationality is black. His birthplace is from Haiti. Just in case somebody want to say he moved to Haiti. Okay, and so forth. No, he was born there. That's what it says. Birthplace is from Haiti. So he's Haitian all the way. Even though Haiti, Haitian is not really a nationality, but this is just where we're terming him as. Okay. The Haitians are the so-called from the tribe of Levi. Okay, so basically his daughter would be a Levite. She'd be from the tribe of Levi. Okay. Now we got the understanding that the appearance is going to look different because the seed of the father has dealt with a woman outside the nation of Israel. As you can see, this is Naomi Osaka's father, and mother. Okay, and you can see their children, the two daughters, looking different from just being his complexion. Okay, but these two children are still children of Israel. But look at them; they look Asian. Let me see. But this is just a key point I had to bring out because, you know, the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine say, oh yeah, they look Asian, they Mongoloid, but that's not true. You see this Israelite brother dealing with a Japanese woman, and look with the children. They're still children of Israel. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Now, this is another one I had to bring out. Her name is Jessica Alba. She's an actress, and she has the appearance of being a so-called white woman. Why? Because her mother is European, but her father is a so-called Hispanic man. Okay, her father is Hispanic. Okay, it said Jessica Alba was born in Pomona, California on April 28, 1981 to Catherine Louisa and Mark David Alba. Her mother has Danish, Welsh, and German, English, and French ancestry. So her mother was a so-called white woman, while her paternal grandparents were born in California, were both the children of Mexican immigrants. So her grandparents on her father's lineage were what? Hispanic. Okay? But like I said, in general, we are the children of Israel, and we are in what? Captivity. So we're scattered abroad following the philosophies of this world. So it says Alba has described her family as being a very conservative family, a traditional Catholic Latin American family, and herself is a very liberal. She said she had identified herself as a feminist as early as age 5. So okay, I don't have to read that. But the point of the matter is that she recognizes her Latin American ancestry. And, you know, of course, primarily the Hispanics, they're learning Catholicism. Okay? Let's go to this. Let's go down. But in general, and also if you look at Jessica Alba's husband, if you look at her husband, you would think, oh, her husband is a white man. But that's not true. Her husband is a black man. Okay? It says, Alba met Cash Warren. Cash Warren is Jessica Alba's husband, son of actor Michael Warren. Okay? So Michael Warren is a so-called black man. You see this? He's a so-called black man. Okay? And his son has the appearance of a white man. But Michael Warren is an Israelite brother. Not in the truth, but he's an Israelite man by birth. Because Michael Warren, which is Cash Warren's father, had sex or married a so-called white woman. Okay? So that's why the appearance has somewhat changed. But according to the black-only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, that would exclude Cash Warren for being an Israelite. But when you look at the lineage from Michael Warren, who had sex with a white woman and married a white woman, he produced Cash Warren. And Cash Warren does not have the appearance of being a black Hebrew Israelite. Okay, Israel? So this is why, Israel, you cannot listen to that black-only Hebrew Israelite doctrine because they clearly don't know what they're talking about. As you can see, the confusion of faces. That's why I brought this lesson out. You cannot go off of a skin complexion. You cannot go off that thing. It will lead you down a road of destruction. It goes based upon the seed of the Father. Okay. See, Cash Warren right here. If you look at his appearance, he doesn't look like an Israelite man. Point blank period. But he's an Israelite by birth. He's not in the truth, of course, but he's an Israelite. Let's go up. Go down. Okay, now Bob Marley. Now, according to the black-only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, they would say Bob Marley was a black man, right? But when you look at his lineage, his father was a so-called white man. His mother was a black woman from the islands, okay, from the Virgin Islands. But his father was a so-called European man. But by looking at Bob Marley's appearance, you would think that he was a black man. But he was not. See, Bob Marley's early life and career. So this is on Wikipedia. Okay. It says early life and career. It says Robert Nesta Marley was born on 6 February 1945 at the farm of his maternal grandfather in 9 Mile, St. Ann Parish, Jamaica. Okay, to Noble Sinclair Marley and Sidell Malcolm. Okay, so let me see, Slacky. Let me see. He said Novell Marley was from Crowborough, East Sussex in England. So Norval Marley, that's how Bob Marley got his last name, Marley, because the white father that he had was named Norval Sinclair Marley. And it says he was from England. So Bob Marley's father was from England. So he'll be so-called European. Okay, and then he said whose family claimed to have Syrian Jewish origins as well. So his father, Bob Marley's father, was Jewish, meaning a fake Jew, not the real Jews, because the real Jews are the blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans of today. Okay, and then it says. Then it says Novell claimed to have been a captain in Royal Marines at the time of his marriage to Cindella Malcolm, an Afro-Jamaican, then 18 years old. He was employed as a plantation overseer. So Bob Marley's mother had sex with basically her slave master. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a plantation overseer. And she was only 18 at the time. You know? Which is off. So this is what the confusion of faces happens when we deal with the other nations. As you can see, Bob Marley's mother, his mother was an Israelite from the Virgin Islands, but she dealt with an Edomite that was from England. Okay? Let me go to this article right here. It says, because if I go up, this is on BBC News. This is on Overseas News. It says Bob Marley was just 10 when his father, Norvell, died. So he was just 10 years old when his father died. So to the right, as you can see, this Bob Marley's father. All the way European, by the way. Let's go down. 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 It says Miss Anderson. I guess it said Bob Marley and Esther Anderson met when Bob was signed to Island Records. It says Miss Anderson said many of the stories about Mr. Marley came from Bob's mother, Cindella. Because Cindella, when she was 18, had sex with that white man in the Virgin Islands. And seemed to have had little or no truth about them. It says Bob's father, at the age of about 60, met and later married 18-year-old Cindella Malcolm while working as a supervisor on a plantation in Jamaica. So again, Bob Marley's father married his mother, who was 18 years old, while working as a supervisor on the plantation. So basically, Bob Marley's mother married her slave master, just like I said earlier. But it made it more clear than Wikipedia. Wikipedia, somewhat can be off at times. It says in February 1945, she gave birth to Nesta Robert, who, of course, his name is Bob Marley, and the couple separated not long after. So they wasn't together that long. Of course not. He's a so-called white man in the 40s marrying a black woman on the islands because, in the United States of America, it was illegal for interracial marriages to be conducted in America. But on the islands, they had different rules. Okay. Scroll down. But all in all, you can see the confusion. Because if you look at Bob Marley, he looks like a so-called black man, right? You can say he's Israelite, but in reality, he is not because of the seed of his father being a so-called European man. Okay? So the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, again, struck out again. Because we can't go off of that. We got to go off what makes sense. See, Lauren London. Lauren London, she will be looking like an Israelite woman. But she's not an Israelite woman because her father was a so-called European man, a white man. Her mother was a black woman. Okay, but you look at face value, you would think that she was a sister. It says early life. Now, this is on Wikipedia about Lauren London. Lauren London was born in Los Angeles County, California on December 5th, 1984 to an African-American mother. So, again, her mother was a black woman, an Israelite woman. Not in the truth, clearly, but she was an Israelite woman. And was Ashkenazi Jewish father. So she had an Ashkenazi Jewish father who was a so-called white man who claims to be a Jew. So you have all these sisters. You have these particular sisters like Bob Marley's mother getting with a so-called Jew. And then also now Lauren London's mother getting with a so-called Jew. Okay, but these guys are clearly Edomites, Esau. They're not Jews. The real Jews are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay, so again, if we go off of face value, yes, she looks like a sister, but she's not. She's an Edomite because her father is a so-called white man. Okay, I understand how people may have love for Lauren London and all that, but she's not an Israelite. She's not our people. She's an Edomite, even though she looks like a so-called sister. Okay, and also, let's go up. Now we go to Diana Ross. Now, Diana Ross, she's a so-called black woman. She's an Israelite. Not in the truth, but she's an Israelite woman by birth. So we go down to where it gets to her personal life, right? Her personal life. It says Ross, it says personal life of Diana Ross. It says Ross has been married twice and has 5 children. She has 5 children. Ross became romantically involved with Motown CEO Berry Gordy in 1965. The relationship lasted several years, resulting in the birth of Ross's eldest child, Rhonda Suzanne Silverstein. So when you look at Rhonda Suzanne Silverstein, she's an Israelite woman by birth, but she's not in the truth, but she's an Israelite because Berry Gordy is a so-called brother. That's an Israelite. Okay? So Diana Ross initially started out good by getting her an Israelite man, but again, it was not built on Yahweh's righteousness. So of course that relationship was not going to go too long. And then it says 2 months into her pregnancy with Rhonda, because you look at Rhonda, she looks like an Israelite sister because she is an Israelite sister. Okay, it said in January 1971, Ross married music executive Robert Ellis Silverstein. And Robert Ellis Silverstein is not a so-called Israelite man. He's not an Israelite man. He's a white man. Okay, and Diana Ross had, I believe, 3 children by this guy. It says Robert Ellis Silverstein is an American music executive and businessman. Okay, so this is who she married, a so-called white man, Diana Ross. It says who raised Rhonda as his own daughter. So now, this guy Robert Silverstein is raising Diana Ross' daughter as like a stepchild. Okay, but if you can see, no, I believe she had 2 children. Slakia. She had 2 children by this guy. Ross has 2 daughters with Silverstein. Okay, Diana Ross has 2 daughters with Silverstein. Tracy Joy, which we all know is the actress Tracy Joy Silverstein, because of course professionally she changed her name to Tracy Ellis Ross, right? But initially her last name was Silverstein because her father is a so-called white man. So she's an Edomite. She's not an Israelite. So let's keep this in mind. Yes, she has the appearance of being a black woman, but she's an Edomite. And then also she had another sister named Chutney Lane Silverstone. Okay, both Edomites, even though they have the appearance of looking like sisters, right? But they're Edomites. They're not Israelites. So we cannot go off of skin color. And then we go down. And then it says, of course, Silverstone and Diana Ross got a divorce. Then it says Ross met her second husband, Norwegian shipping magnate Arne Nessie Jr. He's a so-called European man. Okay. And it says in 1985, and married him following year, she became stepmother to his 3 elder children. Okay, that's why I said 3 earlier. Okay, she became stepmother to his elder 3 children. Okay, now Diana Ross has 2 sons by this guy, who's an Edomite. Okay, she has 2 sons by Arne Ness Jr. It says they have 2 sons together, Ross Arne and Evan Olive. I know how to say that name. Yeah, Evan Olive Ness, or Evan Ross. He changed his name on a professional level to say Evan Ross. But clearly, we seen this gentleman on movies called ATL, Pride, and other movies that he played in. But he's an actor as well, just like his sister, Tracy Ellis Ross. Okay, but clearly her children are Edomites, except for the first child she had with Barry Gordy. Okay, so this is the confusion of faces. You would think Evan Ross was an Israelite based upon his appearance and based upon the movies he played in, catering towards black people movies, but he's not a Israelite. He's an Edomite, but has the appearance of being an Israelite based upon his skin tone, similar to Tracy Ellis Ross. Okay, similar to her. So what I'm bringing out, Israel, is confusion of faces. Okay, we can't go off these things. This is what our people did, and to prove that Arne Nessie Jr. is European, right? It says early life. Nesses was born in Germany. See this? Born in Germany in 1937 to German physician Oscar German Raab and Kirsten Deki Ness, a Norwegian national whose brother was philosopher and a mountaineer Arne Nessie. Okay, I don't have to read no more, but yes, his lineage go back to Germany. So he's an Edomite all the way, in other words. Okay. So now that we got that understanding, so now you got Tracy Ellis Ross, Edomite, Evan Ross, Edomite, Rhonda Ross, Kendrick. She's the only Israelite daughter for Diana Ross. And the rest of Diana Ross' children are all Edomites, even though they have the appearance of being Israelite descent. Okay, so now let's prove out the Bible that Prophet Daniel had mentioned about the confusion of faces. And then it's going to explain why the children of Israel have confusion of faces and they don't look like the normal appearance that's found in the scriptures, you know, of us being black people. Okay, Daniel chapter 9 verse 4. Now this is the prophet Daniel speaking. And I prayed unto Yahweh my Elohim, and made my confession, and said, O Yahweh, the great and dreadful Elohim, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments. So Daniel, the prophet, is mentioning the commandments, about how Yahweh is going to show mercy to them that love him and keep his commandments, right? Let's keep on going. And in Daniel chapter 9 verse 5. We have sinned and have committed iniquity and have done wickedly and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. So we, the children of Israel, sinned against the Most High, and we have done wickedness. And that's why we're here in captivity to this day. Okay, and in Daniel chapter 9 verse 6. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. So again, Daniel is praying to the Most High so we can get mercy at this time, at the past time when he's mentioning, because we broke the laws of the Most High, and that's why we went in captivity under the Babylonians. Okay. Daniel chapter 9 verse 7. It says, O Yahweh, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine has a problem now. They have to explain what Prophet Daniel is saying when he says confusion of faces. Let me read this again. Daniel chapter 9 verse 7. O Yahweh, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us, us as the Israelites, right? But unto us confusion of faces, as at this day. You see this? It was confusion of faces back in Daniel's time, and also it's confusion of faces in today's time, Israel. This is out of the Bible. So the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, they're going to have to explain these verses, which they don't have no explanation. They skip past these. Let me keep on reading. It says, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off through all the countries, whether thou hast driven them, because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee. So what is Daniel saying? Daniel saying the whole house of Israel, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of Israel, guess what? We all went off. We all broke Yahweh's laws. And we all have somewhat of what? Confusion of faces to a certain degree. Because we're scattered abroad, far off, following other philosophies of man. Okay? But again, he said confusion of faces. And we know what confusion means. Okay? So the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, got to explain these verses. Daniel chapter 9 verse 8. It says, O Yahweh, to us belongeth confusion of face. Now, Daniel the prophet is saying it twice. So, the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine can't just say that's just one verse. It's two verses saying the same thing. It says, O Yahweh, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. So why do the children of Israel not look majority as once they used to have looked like in times past? It's because of their sins. So because we want to make marriages with the other nations, this is why they don't have, in general, the appearance of once they used to look like. Because we have sinned against Yahweh. So Yahweh dispersed us, because we know Yahweh said he's not the author of confusion. But because we forsook the laws of the Most High, he calls us to have the confusion of faces, not to look like in our original form. Okay, as being the black Hebrew Israelites. Okay, because Yahweh say he's not the author of confusion. But of course, we still had different shades of brown. But you look at the appearance of us, which I just mentioned, some Israelites that may look European, some Israelites may look black, but we come in different variations. Okay, but again, all this is because of sin. It says, Daniel chapter 9 verse 9, to Yahweh our Elohim belongeth mercies and forgivenesses, though we have rebelled against him. So again, even though Yahweh give us mercy and grace, we still rebelling against the Father. If you look at today's time, we're still doing the same thing that we was doing in times past. You know, Daniel chapter 9 verse 10. Neither have we obeyed the voice of Yahweh our Elohim to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets. Because the prophets of the Most High, which we are, because we're ministering unto the children of Israel, telling them to come back to Yahweh's laws in righteousness, right? But the children of Israel are not hearkening unto these words of Yahweh out of the Bible, because the prophets is the one bringing the children of Israel the message. Because guess what? Without the prophets of the Most High, the children of Israel will be still asleep. Okay, they won't know what's going on. They'll think being American, being Hispanic, being Native American, following that understanding is the right way. No, the prophets is telling the children of Israel, come back to the Most High by keeping his laws. Okay, that's what prophets do. They teach people to keep Yahweh's laws. Daniel chapter 9 verse 11. It says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us. And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Elohim, because we have sinned against him. So again, the curse. So this is why the children of Israel look different. It's because it's a curse. The Most High put a curse on his children to look like the other nations, because we wanted to what? Make marriages with the other nations. We wanted to follow the other nations. So the Most High dispersed us through the four corners of the earth. Okay? That's confusion, because we supposed to be in Jerusalem, keeping Yahweh's laws, practicing our customs, practicing our heritage. But Yahweh said, no, I'm going to put a curse on you, children of Israel. I'm going to cause you to be scattered through the four corners of the earth. I'm going to cause you to forget who you are. I'm going to cause you to look like your enemy. I'm going to cause confusion in this house because you don't want to serve me. So this is why the Native Americans primarily don't have the appearance that they once had as being black people in general. But again, you still see Native Americans still come as black people in different shades. But the notion of the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, they want to promote lies. Okay, the Bible is saying the reason why we look different because of sin. Daniel chapter 9 verse 12. And he have confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For it says, for under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done upon Jerusalem. So the judgment of us, the children of Israel, these things have not happened to the other nations. It only happened to the children of Israel. So that is the curse, when we don't look like in our original form as being black Hebrew Israelites in different variations of brown. But when we all have the different appearance, looking like the so-called other nations, that's a curse. Because that's confusion right there. Okay? Yahweh is not about being in confusion. But because we rejected Yahweh's laws, he put this evil on us by being like the appearance of the other nations. Daniel chapter 9 verse 13. As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil is come upon us. Yet made we not our prayer before Yahweh our Elohim, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth. So when the Most High poured out the evil, and which evil is he talking about? He talking about the captivity and primarily the what? The confusion of faces. The confusion of faces. Because we supposed to be looking like Israelites. When people see us, they all supposed to know who we are, not be confused. But again, we chose to still follow wickedness, even after all these things happen to us. And this is what Prophet Daniel is saying at this time. Okay, Israel? So we got to come back to knowledge of self, man. The black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, they got to explain these verses. What is Prophet Daniel talking about? The confusion of faces. Okay? You already know what he's talking about. See, it says, O Yahweh, in Daniel chapter 9 verse 8, O Yahweh, to us, the children of Israel, belongeth confusion of face. Face. We all know what a face is. Okay? Confusion. This is what the Bible says. These are not my words. Okay? Now, 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33 proves Yahweh is not the author of confusion. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33. For Elohim is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. So Yahweh say he's not the author of confusion, but because we rejected the word of him, we rejected the message that Moses gave to us to do, to follow Yahweh's laws, He put the confusion of faces on our people to not have the appearance as once they used to look like. Okay, Israel? So contrary to these wicked Negroes in the world that don't want to believe this Bible, want to think that the men of the Lord that's out here prophesying on the street corner just made the 12 tribe chart up, which of course they did not. Okay? As you can see, it lines up with the scripture. If Israel has a curse on them looking like confusion of faces, right? So that would make the 12 tribe chart true. Because if we go off the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine, you're not going to reach the people that have the confusion of faces. Okay, Israel? So again, we have to follow truth. That's what this lesson is about, because the 12 tribe chart is truth. Okay, it matches up with the precepts. Okay, it matches up with the prophets are teaching. That's why I say, Israel, you have to read the Bible. Stop listening to these ungodly men. Okay, yeah, stop listening to these ungodly men, Israel. So this is what this quick lesson was about, Israel. It was about learning truth, about the confusion of faces, understanding. This is why the so-called Native Americans, the so-called Hispanics, and also the so-called blacks at times do not look like in their original form, because of what? The curse that Yahweh put upon his people for disobedience. Okay, and also we're still disobeying Yahweh, and we was doing it back in Daniel's time as well, by making marriages and following the philosophies of the other nations. So this class lesson is to give people a deeper understanding on this Hebrew truth. So when you hear a false doctrine talking about the black only Hebrew Israelite doctrine going on, you know it's falsified, because it's not based upon skin color. It's based upon the lineage of a person's father. Person's father lineage got to go back to what? Israel. Okay, of being an Israelite. Okay, and based upon these curses is an identifier on who these people are. Okay, Israel. So other than that, Israel, stay tuned for more classroom videos. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. But end of the day, we're gonna let this Bible be true. Every man a liar. Other than that, Israel, shalom.
I'm more of a tomboy. I'm more of a girly girl.
With two different personalities and two different complexions, you'd never know these two were twins. Meet 9-year-olds Marcia and Millie from the UK.
We are twins.
Their mom is white and dad black. When the pair were born, they looked nearly identical. But as they got older, their skin tones started changing. So did their interests.
My favourite subject is literacy. Mine is math.
When strangers meet these girls, most don't believe they're twins. It doesn't bother them, because these sisters know they'll always have each other. I mean, just look at those matching smiles. For Inside Edition.